Hi everyone, it's Karen and I'm back with my first design team project for AngeldreamCraftsKim on Etsy for the month of November. And what I created was an altered book that I made into a secret box. And this has been on my to-do list of things that I've wanted to try doing. I saw it a couple of years ago on Pinterest and I just thought it was such a cool idea. And so I worked away at getting the book all prepared, and then I made all these beautiful flowers with laces and trims and bling from Kim's shop. And I will go through and tell you a little bit about them and about the trims and how I put it all together. I will put links to AngeldreamCraftsKim on Etsy in the description box below, and also links to the designers that she has designing for her. And they are creating beautiful projects with all the things that she has sent in their design team packages, and also have just uploaded, a lot of them have uploaded what they received in their design team packages for November, and some for both November and December. So you'll need to go over and check them out, because you get to see up close a lot of the things that Kim has in her shop, and she has so many beautiful things. And it's worthwhile going and checking, and I know she's uploading beautiful things almost every day, and also post to Instagram and in the Facebook group when she uploads new items, so you get a heads up, because some of her items sell out very quickly. If you want to get a heads up of when new things are going in the store, then the links to the Instagram and her Facebook group will also be in the description box, so you can join the Facebook group and join the Instagram so that you get notifications. Let's get into this yummy little book. I made all these flowers with things from her shop, and these beautiful blings here were in my design team package last month, and I used one of them on a project, and then I had these two left and I wanted to use them on this project. And these are still available in the store. They're beautiful acrylic and pearl with rhinestone, and they're just absolutely gorgeous. They look really high-end, really pretty. And then I made the flowers using laces, doilies, and trims from her shop. So this one here is a combination of a doily that she had sent me in a doily pack, and then some tulle from my stash, and just the inside part of the doily, and then one of the blings from her shop. And she still has these blings in her shop. They're actually brooches, but I just took the brooch piece off the back and glued it directly on here. And then underneath is another part of the doily. Last month I got a large doily, and I showed you how I had cut it up and used lots of it in my projects, but I had this little bit left, so I gathered it up and used it for the base of this flower. This one has part of the floral trim that was in my design team package. This one, the center of it, and then there's a couple on the side, and this one here has one of the flowers in behind here, and that is all from this beautiful lace here that is in her shop. And it's just, you can see how I've been cutting it all up, and you'll see how I used a large piece of it as well in this project. But it is a beautiful piece to work with. These actually flowers right here remind me a lot of snowflakes, and I've used them on some of my Christmas decorations that I'm working on this year. And I did the same thing as I did last year. I painted them with a paintbrush and some Mod Podge, and then I sprinkled diamond dust over top of them, and they just look fabulous. So that's something else. That's another little tip that you can do with these. And so that's what's made the centers in some of the flowers. So it's a good thing when you're building your flowers up and you want different ideas of what to use. This is a lace that was in my design team package, I think, last month, and I had a tiny piece left, so I gathered it up. And that's what I often will do, is I will gather them up and get pieces of the flowers made. This one as well is from last month's design team package. I only had this small piece left. This was a flat lace, and I'll show you how I do that to make the petals. This is another tiny lace from her shop, one of the little 1/2-inch ones, the little ones that I had last month in my package. And so again, gathered it up and keep them separate and ready to go to make for centers. This is part of the eyelet trim from her shop, and I gathered that up, a little piece of it to go for the middle of that one. And then underneath here is the center of one of her larger doilies that she has in the shop. I think she still has these ones, or she has something similar. And what I do is I cut the center out of the doily, and I use that for the part of building the flower. And then this, the outer piece here, which is, I have one cut here because this of course is from where I took out the center of this one. This is what I use, and I would cut it down a bit, probably to about here, and gather that, and then that can be used for the base of another flower. I think this one has some in it from another doily, and I just gathered it up to become another part of the flower. And it's really simple to do. I mean, this is the full width of it here, but I would cut this down, and you never have to worry about cutting doilies. Just pick a spot. Usually there's like you can see, there's a line there where I'm cutting, and just cut along that line. They won't fall apart. It's just the way that when you crochet, you're able to do this. And I do crochet, so, and never feel guilty about cutting them up either, because I crochet, and I always tell people, when I give you doilies, do whatever you want with them. Cut them up. It's fun. Pull them. You can pull these little things so that they spread out a little bit, and then it's simple. You can see there's little holes in between here, and I just gather this with a running stitch and a needle and gather it up, and it becomes, gather it to what you want. I mean, if this piece is too long, do it, you know, cut it shorter, and then that becomes your outer edge of one of your flowers. I have a different one here. This is the same idea. This is from the outer edge of a doily, and this is just one of my big long, I bought these dull needles because they're great for gathering. And I mean, all you're doing is an in and out gathering stitch on the needle through the doily, in and out, and then just pull your thread through and tie your ends together. And it's that simple. And you have the part of, and if you don't want it to be, you don't have to have it super tight if you don't want to. You can loosen that up to wherever you want it. So lay it there, and, you know, put it down how you'd like it, and how you want, maybe these, like I call these my little petals of my flowers, the little scallops. And I put them how I think I would like it for the size of flower I want. If I want a smaller flower, you can tighten it up and go bit smaller. So around that size works for me. I like my flowers around, I'm going to say around 3 to 4 inches for a project this size is really nice. You can do them smaller, but then you would just need more. And there you have your outer edge of your flower. And you can just use a tiny bit of felt, and I just buy the felt from the dollar store. And let's see, there is a right and wrong side. So let me just have a look at this, because I didn't look at it really carefully. This one you can hardly tell. And that's another thing, don't stress out about right and wrong sides, because it really doesn't matter unless one side really looks nicer than the other, then go for that. I would put that on a piece of felt just because it gives me something for my middle there. And then to build on that, you could add, another doily in another color. You could add a piece of this, and I didn't cut one off, which I should have probably done, but you could add this, one of these flowers, and then, so you've added that to the center, and then you can add one of her blings. So there's a little heart. And there you have a little flower. Let's just take a second here and cut this off so that you can really see it. And making these flowers I just sat one evening and made a whole bunch of them, and then I picked the ones, and I fiddled with them on my box to play with them. So there you go. So you've gathered that little bit of the outside of your doily, put it on a piece of felt, put this piece of flower in the center. You could choose any one you wanted. And then there's the little bit of heart bling from her shop in the center. And there you have a flower. That's just one of many that you can create. To create one with flat lace like this that I made the little scalloped edges on it, all I do is take a piece of flat lace, this is from a curtain, and I just cut it. It's about 1.5 to 2 inches wide. I don't really even measure. I just kind of eyeball it, fold it up, and you can fold it as many times as you want, depending on what number of petals you want. But I always want at least 6 petals at the minimum. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I've got more than that. I've got a little extra piece here, which I'm just going to cut that off because I don't need it. And so there you've got your flat lace all folded up. Stick your thumb on it. I have shown you this before, but I'm going to show you again because we're making flowers. And I didn't grab my good scissors, so these ones don't cut as well. These are my paper scissors. And you cut around your thumb. And if you don't want a point, then don't make a point. Round it off. Where are my good scissors? There's my good fabric scissors. So now, when you open this up, you have all these scallops. And then, again, taking them on your needle, all I've done is gathered all along the bottom a gathering stitch. In and out, in and out. Pull your thread through, take off your needle, and again, you have yourself your flower. And you can do it with, I did this one with 6 petals. This one is quite a bit more because my piece of fabric was quite a bit longer. And again, sort of lay it down, figure out where you want it, and then tie it off. And that ties off your gathering. And there's your flower, all made and out of a flat piece of lace. And then you just can fiddle with it, put the petals where you want. Again, if you want to finish it off, you can put a piece of felt on the back. Your felt doesn't have to be a circle. Square is fine. It just helps with gluing it down on something. And this one is this way. And then again, you know, this one, let's see what this looks like. Let's build it up again. So again, here's the one I made previously. And then this one can go on top of that. So there's your second layer. And then here's a little one that I made before. There's your third layer. And then another one of her little blings from her shop in the center. And there you go. You got a white and cream mix, which is really pretty together. You've got all these lovely petals, and it's all made with a simple gathering stitch and a simple cut. So there's just another example of how you can build up these flowers. This one is simply a doily from one of her doily packs and one of those crocheted flowers that's in her shop that I showed you from my design team package, and I did that. And then I put the pearl center in there from the blings that I received. And the same on this side. This one is built up from a doily, one of the flowers from the fabric, and this is her the cream colored crochet doily, a large pearl from my stash in the center of that one. This one's a doily, one of the doilies from her doily pack, one of the flowers from the lace, and then I just did a little tatted flower here and added a bling to the center of that from my stash. These blings, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one, they're all from Kim's shop, as is the heart. These are still available in the shop, and I do believe these are still available. They were the mixed pack of different colors. And so that's how I built up the flowers. They're just gathered pieces with bits of crochet. Some is from my stash. And then this one I wanted to show you as well. This was the flat trim, and I did put it on the side of the box as well, which I said to you in my design team package, I thought it would look beautiful. And I've put it all the way around the sides of this box, well, almost all the way. I started here and went around and draped it to here. I don't like to do things like perfectly around because I think it gives it more interest. And the reason I could do that is that beautiful doily that she gave me, that ecru doily. I used that and I draped it over the corner of this box and down the side. And then I cut a piece off here and I put it over this way. So it appears like this doily covers the whole top, but in actual fact, it's draped on this side to hang over the edge. It's hard to put this all in camera because of the way my setup is. And then this side, it drapes just to the edge. And then this has the beautiful trim hanging down. And the piece underneath is a piece of a curtain that I had in my stash that I just used as the base. And the book itself is a hardcover book that I did put some scrapbook paper on to start with. The trim, of course, I used it as trim, but when I was looking at it, I just could not stop seeing petals of flowers. Anything that has any kind of a scallop to it, I always think to myself, those are like petals. So I counted out 6, which is a flower size that I find is really nice on for this size project. And then I just gathered them across the bottom. So real simple, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I wanted to show you how I cut this so that you keep your trim intact. You run a bead of glue right where you want to cut and take some kind of a spatula. You can use any rubber spatula. I have one of these little ones, but you can use a big one too. And you just set it in the middle of your glue. And you hold that there until the glue sets up. So it does take a couple minutes. So I'm just gonna leave that there, sitting, prop it up. And I'll come back to it. So I used the beautiful heart bling she has in the shop, and these were in a previous design team project, but I had them and I thought they looked so pretty on the corners. And I used one of the pearl drops. This is the same one is used in the center of this flower here, but I used this one as the drop as it came. Just tied it with a little bit of gold thread from my stash and tied it on the edge of that doily to drip down over the side of the box. And then, or book, but it's actually a box. And then when you open it, and you easily can open it, inside is I've cut through the pages, which was painstakingly long process, but you know what? The result is really nice. So I just measured how big I wanted this opening, and I used an X-Acto knife and a little board that I bought at the dollar store, and I put so many pages together and I sliced through them and took those pages out until it was down about 1.5 inches, and I felt that was adequate for the box that I wanted. Put a piece of scrapbook paper on, I put some gesso over top of it to mute down the colors, and then I used this beautiful lace. Is like a 1/2 inch little lace trim with these pretty little flowers on it. And then I used the this lace trim that I showed you already that I've been cutting up. I used that in the corners to add some interest in the corners. And then I used a whole piece of it in the bottom to line the box. And then I even put a few little pieces that are, ooh, surprise, little on the sides here to coming up the edges of the pages, and you can see all the cut pages. And they're not perfect by any means, but they're close, and it's interesting. It's interesting looking, I think. And then the same on the side, you can see where I glued the pages together, and then this part of the book is where I didn't glue. But when the book is sitting closed, this comes over and covers that anyway, so you don't even really see that difference where they're glued and not glued. I put up the same piece of that curtain that I had from my stash. I put it on the bottom, and then I put it up the sides, so it does cover on the sides a bit, on the sides of the box, because this top piece, when it comes down, only partially comes over the edge of the box. And that's about the only part of the book you can see, is little peeks in here and there where you can see the binding of the book. You can see that beautiful trim around the edge there. And then of course on this side, you can see the lovely doily, and then you can see where the trim starts here. And I like when I make a project to be able to, I don't like covering everything up, like putting a doily down and then completely covering it. I like at least for it to be seen in different places. May not see it over the whole project, but to see part of it, because otherwise I don't see the point. And the curtain at the bottom is meant to peek out here and there. It's not meant to be the focal point. So I'll just go back to showing you how to make these gorgeous little flowers that I really, really like. So here, I had this here, it dried and this came out. Now, I hope you can see that. It basically is dried glue with a channel in the middle where you had this stuck in. And then you take a good sharp scissors, but I'm not going to use my fabric one because I'm going through the glue, and you cut in that channel. And what happens then is that there's a bit of the glue is left on this side and a bit of the glue is left on this side. You have no fraying and this won't unravel, which can happen. I did that on this side as well when I cut on that side. I have 5 left, which I can make a small flower with that or use that for a little wall hanging or something. And here is my 6 that I wanted to make another flower with, because I'm sure I will use that somewhere. I might even use it on one of my projects for Christmas. So again, just using a needle and going in and out and in and out through, and through the heavier part here, I just went behind it. So in and out, and then behind that bigger piece, and in and out and behind. And I did that all the way along. See how fast I can do it. So it's all gathered on, you pull your thread through, and again with this one, because it's a heavier trim that you're using, you're not gonna pull this all the way to the center tight, because your petals you're gonna lose your petals. So you just pull it in to where you could leave it there if you want it that big, but you could pull it in that far. It's a little bit of an overlap here. And then tie it shut. And there's your base of your flower. And again, you're going to use that felt in the center, so glue it onto a piece of felt, because now you have your center piece in there. And like this one, I used a doily in behind, so there's my doily in behind. And then one of those little flowers from the flower trim. And you certainly can trim those. You can leave them really shabby if you want to leave these little bits on, or you can cut them off, depending on what your preference is and what you like. And then that goes in the center, and then her pretty brooches in the middle of that. And there you have another one of these flowers. And the difference with this one is that I took the center and I poked it down inside and glued it right to the felt, which gave these petals, this part of the doily was sticking up more. Make sure you can see that. So this is a little tiny doily center, and I made it so that it sticks down in the center. So you stick that down deep, and then you use a smaller bling down in the middle there. So you can alter how your flowers look by how you put your centers in. And with this one, I can see it right now, so I'm just going to show you. I would split these to give maybe even every other one, or just sort of go along and cut some of them in between. These are called petals. And then when you push that down in the center, you're going to get even more, because they're going to overlap on each other, and you get even more sort of texture looking, more movement in the petals, and then this little center. And doesn't that look pretty? So that's another one that could have easily fit on this box. So I'll put it away for another time. And the eyelet ones are really simple. I've showed these before. Again, you just gather this up, and then if you want, you can add little nicks. Like this one has smaller scallops, but you can add the little nicks in the scallop right here, and then they look more like petals. So you deepen this with a little cut in there, and then those will look more like petals. When it pulls apart, you can see there's more of a definition there to the petals. And you can cut this piece off and just gather it closer to your scallop, and that will just make a smaller flower. It depends on how much, like, do you want it this big or do you want a tiny little one like that? It's really up to you what you want, and it's so easy to do. So I'm just gonna let you see the box one more time. I'll turn it this way. It really turned out really lovely. I'm really pleased with it. It's very heavy because it's a good sized book. I believe it's 9 by 6. 9.5 by 6 is the book. It's got about a 2.5 inch spine, and I made the box about 1.5 inches. So there's the edge. There's a bit of that beautiful doily from Kim's shop. And as I pointed out, all the beautiful, these crocheted flowers are just beautiful, and she has those in the shop. You get a mixed pack, and I used the cream one and the ecru one on here. And then of course this lovely trim, which I used as a trim and flowers. So I mean, getting 2 for 1 out of some of these is just amazing. And of course the doilies come in handy, and she often has these bigger single doilies in her shop, and you just grab them when they're available. And you can either use them as a whole, or you can cut it like I partially did with this one. And then of course the beautiful blings just add an extra sparkle and shine. And then the inside, that beautiful floral fabric that you can get and cut it up as little flowers or use it as a whole piece. And it's just so pretty. So that is my hidden box design team project. Wouldn't that look pretty, sitting, like, especially I think on a lady's bedside table or her dressing table, and she could have, you know, pieces of jewelry in there, or just use it as a hidden spot to hide things in, because you don't really know that it, you know, necessarily opens, and it peeks out that it is a book. So you could also just have it sitting and it looked like a book. I hope you found some inspiration there. I hope you'll check out Kim's shop, AngeldreamCraftsKim on Etsy. Link in the description box below. And I will talk to you guys all soon. Bye for now.